The war of words between BC and Alberta over the Kinder Morgan pipeline expansion now involves talk of a boycott of BC products.
We need to end the games that are taking place at the expense of regular families.
Alberta Premier Rachel Notley has announced she's suspending talks to purchase additional electricity from BC. She says it could cost the province $500 million. It's in a protest of proposal that would see a cap on the increase of bitumen coming in from Alberta. As the back and forth continues, the Prime Minister appears to be firmly on Alberta's side.
There was a danger to the beautiful British Columbia's coasts. We would not have approved the Kinder Morgan pipeline.
Saber rattling doesn't get you very far. I'm about building relationships, and as luck would have it, Ms. Notley and I have known each other for 20 years. And aside from this one issue, we're good friends.
The already delayed Trans Mountain expansion project would nearly triple the capacity of its pipeline system. The Prime Minister is back on his town hall tour after a whirlwind trip to Edmonton. Justin Trudeau is in Nanaimo right now. Hundreds gathered at MacEwan University last night to hear the PM's address and to ask him some pointed questions. CTV's Angela Jung has the details.
Edmontonians of all political stripes lining up for a chance to join the Prime Minister's town hall.
Not particularly a fan of the guy, but I want to hear what he has to say.
Justin Trudeau receiving a mix of cheers and boos, and despite his warning,
Invariably, as I go around taking questions, someone gets up and starts shouting out questions.
the heckling started.
No, I'll give you a microphone, sir.
When pipelines were brought up, this small group of protesters stood silently in the background. In the nearly 2-hour meeting, Trudeau answered more than a dozen questions. This group, called Moms Stop the Harm, has been waiting for its chance to speak to the PM about the opioid crisis.
Prime Minister, we need more action from your government.
Petra Schultz lost her 25-year-old son to an accidental overdose 4 years ago. She'd like to see a national strategy to address this epidemic, including more funding and the decriminalization of drug possession.
Decriminalizing harder drugs is not a step that Canada is looking at taking at this point.
Many with their own stories to tell, including this Afghanistan war veteran.
As you can see, I've lost my left leg.
He says he isn't receiving full compensation from the government because he also works full-time to support his family.
I was prepared to be killed in action. What I wasn't prepared for, Mr. Prime Minister, is Canada turning its back on me.
Both this vet and Schultz say they aren't completely satisfied with Trudeau's responses, but grateful he answered their questions.
It meant a lot to our families that he acknowledged our losses.
This town hall, an opportunity to be heard in front of the Prime Minister in a packed room. Angela Jung, CTV News, Edmonton.
Police are remaining tight-lipped about a violent altercation that closed access to one of the most popular outdoor recreation areas on Vancouver's North Shore yesterday. CTV's Shannon Patterson reports on a mysterious fight in the woods that triggered a major police response.
The first victim arrived at Vancouver General Hospital just before 9 a.m. An hour later, another ambulance raced down Mount Seymour Parkway, bringing a second victim to the VGH emergency room.
The injuries sustained to both males are consistent with knife wounds as the result of an altercation on the mountain.
The two men were camping on Dog Mountain, 1,000 meters from the Mount Seymour parking lot. Just after 5 a.m., one of them called 911.
There was no mention of a second individual. We were led to believe that this person was by himself, had sustained some injuries, and please send emergency services.
By the time North Shore rescue crews arrived,
the RCMP had decided that this guy was known to them and that they did not want us going in alone, so to wait for the RCMP to arrive.
The emergency response team was called in to carry the injured man out. As he was headed down the mountain in an ambulance, the second man called 911 saying he too had stab wounds.
These two individuals were together last night camping in whatever capacity we don't know, and something happened with an altercation and both of them are injured.
Police don't believe anyone else was involved, and there's no risk to the public.
Hi. Is it open? The RCMP have closed the backcountry access today.
Oh, it's closed?
Yeah.
But the Dog Mountain Trail was closed to snowshoers today.
So what did they tell you?
There's a crime scene that we can't go at, so they're telling us rerouting to somewhere else around the ski resort area.
While the weather is hardly ideal, people really do camp on Dog Mountain in the winter?
Yes, camping out is not unusual in any of our local mountains, summer and winter.
But this campout clearly did not go as planned.
The province and RCMP have unveiled a new tool as part of a strategy to stop students from entering gang life. That's Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth and students from Surrey's Queen Elizabeth Secondary School checking out what's being called a mobile billboard. The Range Rover was seized by the province and now carries anti-gang messages. Officials hope it will be key in targeting students who may be at risk of becoming involved in gangs.
And the message on this newly wrapped vehicle is very clear. Gang life is not a good choice, and there are people who can help get you out of it.
This is designed twofold, to open up conversations with youth, to make it easier for them to come forward. It's a conversation starter, and it helps us engage and develop relationships with the kids that we're trying to help.
The Range Rover will be primarily used during anti-gang school presentations and events around Metro Vancouver. We're going to take a quick break now, but first here are the closing market numbers for today.